the night the bat got in. The temperature was so stifling that no one even noticed that the back door had been left ajar. Whoever came in last had forgotten to pull the stubborn catch. It was one of those late evenings, right between the summer's closing and school's openings, that dragged on boringly. It threatened to be the dullest night of the summer. And then the bat got in. Betsy saw it first. She leaped, screaming from the hassock, and flew from out the front door before anyone knew what was happening. Mr. Halverson arose and calmly declared, "There's a bat in the house. I wonder how it got in." At this point, Mr. Halverson disappeared in a flash. "I'm not sticking around to find out," her voice trailed into the baby's bedroom. Whisking Neil out of his crib, she joined Betsy on the front lawn. The startled baby began to cry. Mrs. Halverson was shaking from her hair roots to her toenails, and Betsy was shrieking frantically, "There's a bat in the house! There's a bat in the house!" Andrew watched the displaced bat dart erratically through his living room. Before he joined his family on the lawn, never had he seen such calmness explode into such frenzied activity before. The Overtons had of course heard the commotion next door. They came dashing over, shouting, "What's wrong? And is everyone all right?" Mr. Halverson had, after a lapse, was finally heard through all the confusion. "There's a bat in our house," he explained. I just hope it's not rabbit," Mrs. Halverson worried aloud. Andrew knew it probably didn't have rabies because he had read a lot about animals. First, bats are nocturnal, so this creature belonged up at night. Secondly, it acted like a healthy bat, avoiding objects as it flew. A sick bat would bump into things or not be able to fly at all. Most bats weren't rabid, and legends had given them a bad reputation. Andrew wanted to reassure everyone, but he couldn't get a word in edgewise. Mrs. Overton poured out her concern to Mrs. Halverson. Neil still whimpered. At least Betsy's shrieks had quieted. The men were discussing a plan for the attack. Something they said caused Andrew's voice to slice through the commotion. "Kill it! No way!" he blared. "Don't you dare!" "We can't just let a bat have run of the house," said Mr. Halverson. "We're going to get rid of it." "Wait," Andrew pleaded. "Try to use restraint and manners. I have an idea that will probably work, okay?" "Well," Mr. Halverson hesitated. "All right." The men relaxed their grips on their anti-bat weapons, a tennis racket and a baseball bat. "I'm not so crazy about batting a bat with any other way, I'm not so crazy about batting on a bat with any other way." Mr. Overton was relieved. Andrew was bravely into the house alone, turning out the lights in every room. He could hear the flapping of the bat's wings as he struggled to make sense of unfamiliar surroundings. He turned on the floodlight in the backyard and adjusted the latch on the back door so that it remained wide open. The bat will sense the light, and it knows insects are attracted to it. If we're not inside to scare it, it will get its bearings and find its way out, just as it got in, Andrew said with authority. "Let's just be quiet and wait," he told everyone. They gathered around the yard, keeping their eyes focused on the illuminated doorway. 5 minutes later, a tiny flying figure with jagged wings emerged from the door. It zigzagged in a way across the yard and off to the darkened sky behind the nightly meal of mosquitoes and flying insects. Andrew's mother invited the Overtons in for a snack. Everyone slid in quickly through the door. Mrs. Halverson double-checked to make sure it was shut tightly. "Smart thinking, Andrew," Mr. Overton congratulated him. "That's for sure. You really gave a scary episode a happy ending," Mrs. Overton added. Part 2. Now that you have read the text, answer the 4 questions that follow. Question 1A. What can you infer about the relationship between the Overtons and the Halversons? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. One more time. Question 1A. What can you infer about the relationship between the Overtons and the Halversons? Use evidence from the text to support your answer. Question 1B. Read the paragraph. The bat will sense the light, and it knows insects are attracted to it. If we're not inside to scare it, it will get its bearings and find its way out just as it got in, Andrew said with authority. The question is, what does this paragraph show the reader about Andrew? Again, what does this paragraph show the reader about Andrew? A. He is struggling to free the bat from the home. B. He is careful in the planning of the bat's escape. C. He is confident that the plan will release the bat. Or D. He is worried about the insects moving into the home. Question number 2. Read the following sentence from the story. He could hear the flapping of the bat's wings as it struggled to make sense of its unfamiliar surroundings. I'll read that sentence one more time. He could hear the flapping of the bat's wings as it struggled to make sense of its unfamiliar surroundings. What is the most likely reason the author used the word surroundings? A. To explain how the house might have looked. B. To show that there were objects around the bat. C. To show the furniture around the house was scary. To show that the furniture around the house was scary. Or D. To explain the outside of the house was too bright.